So today I decided to do it. I went back and watched Fnatic versus Mech on Split, and I mentioned that this was the best game of Valorant that I had ever seen, and having rewatched it, I still hold that view. It very much holds up to my high standards. It was as good as I remembered it to be. And so we're going to take a look. Obviously, this map was 44 rounds long. We don't have time to get into every round, but I'm going to take a look at some of the key overtime rounds and kind of what was going on. Because, of course, when an overtime goes on for so long, there's kind of a meta within the overtime of like, you did this last time, will you do it again, right? Like, there's kind of a meta game within the game of this match because the overtime went on for so long. But a lot of interesting things happened, and so we'll start off with the first round. So Mecha on the attack, Fnatic are on the defensive side, and here we go. And what's going to happen at the start of this round, by the way, is almost a ritual. This happens so many times across both the normal rounds for Mech's attack and both the overtime rounds, quite a few of them as well. But basically what's going to happen is we're going to get this smoke, as you can see here, from Mech, and they're going to try and take mid control. Okay, and we're going to get this wall from Brave, as he pretty much did for, I'm going to say, I mean, he must have put up that wall a million times in this game. And so they take a bit of early mid control, and this time they're actually going to sneak into vents. Sometimes they use the neon to stun the vents, but this time they felt comfortable that they could just walk up into it, and that's what they do. They stun down, they go down, Bosa throws his nade, they come back up. This, again, happened a million times. Whilst that's going on, we got the breach here breaking the wall in mid, you know, as I said, this happened like a million times. And the idea is they're going to break this wall, they're going to throw that nade so that there's no one close on that wall whilst they fully destroy it. And the idea for both teams is Fnatic are basically saying, we're not going to let you easily pass this or this point. You're not going to get there easily. But Mech are quite happy to be like, okay, we just want this early mid control. And if we have this early mid control, then we're happy. And the reason that Mech are happy for that is because it can mean that they can go to this A site, they can go to B, and Fnatic can't know which one they're going to go to, and they can do it very quickly, and they can pivot very quickly if something goes wrong. So that's the kind of idea for Mech, and it also means that Fnatic have to hold their positions, because they could go to either site. So you can't really move, you just have to wait and see which one Mech are going to go to, and that's the kind of trade-off that they're going for. And Fnatic are saying, well, you used quite a bit of utility to get there, so, and we've delayed you some time as well, so that's kind of trade-off that both teams are almost taking a mutual handshake at that point. But what Mech are going to do now is they're actually going to fake, because they're going to send their players back towards A. And one thing I will say, and I feel like people get this wrong in ranked, particularly at the lower ranks as well, once you've taken a space, particularly if it's like a 5v5, a defender should never go re-aggressing here. You might think this breach is very isolated and all alone, but Fnatic can't go and push him because they don't know if the rest of Mech are there or not. They have no information as to who is actually there or not, so there's no way they can just go and re-aggress on this breach because, you know, it would be suicidal in a lot of instances. So that allows the rest of Mech to group up A, and what they're going to do is use this breach to fake as if it's a B push. He's going to use all of his utility just to, you know, fake that it's a B hit, but really it's going to be an A hit instead. So we'll watch that come through now as the breach, here we go, starts to use his utility. He gets the nade out of the raise as well, and look, he's just sending both flashes. He has no real, you know, sense of what's going on. They also smoke deep heaven here just to fake it even more. But whilst that's going on, and obviously now the Astra only has one smoke, they decide to smoke CT here and use this neon wall as well. And I think the reason that they're going to do this is because they want to fake, or want to, you know, give the idea that maybe someone could have either snuck onto site or ran onto site, and now the defenders on this A site have to be wary that that could be the case, because they're actually not gonna go to site, weirdly enough, because you'd think with this smoke and this wall that they would do. But actually, again, this is kind of an extra fake, because really they're gonna go towards heaven instead. And I think the idea here is because they've got this breach fake and they've got the smoke here, they're pretty confident that no one would have made this rotation, and so that's going to allow them to go into heaven instead and drop down from an angle that, you know, perhaps Fnatic aren't expecting them to be in. So as we run that forward, and they're about to do exactly what I just said, they are going to drop down. Magnum's going to whiff a bit here on Chronicle. He does make up for it in later rounds, but they end up dying on the site, 2 for 1. And then in this situation, Durka also falls there, and we end up in a 4v2. And well, Mech in a 4v2 against specifically Mystic and Brave surely are going to win. And yes, they do win this time. And now let's come to the very next round and Fnatic's first attacking round in the overtime. And Fnatic have got this set up with the Viper, the wall here, and they're going to put the orb in here. And it's very much the same idea that Mech had there on their attacking side, where again, someone, if no one's watching it, someone could walk up here, you know, and you won't know. That's kind of the idea behind this. But Chronicle actually is going to buy an operator here, and he's going to play aggressive. So that idea is kind of going to go away. But what they're going to do early, Fnatic is send in a bunch of utility, a Sage Slow, KO knife as well. You can see Chronicle avoids it there, but to kind of fake a bit of early B main control. But Chronicle is gonna, you know, just reaggress with the operator. You can teleport out, and Fnatic are gonna run across the map to the other side. Now, you might think, you know, Chronicle here could see this and he could see no one's there. Doesn't that tell them that, you know, they aren't going to be? Well, not quite, because what could happen quite easily is you could get a Viper, for instance, just sitting out here waiting to reaggress whilst the team actually goes for a B heaven split. And you can see that the Neon is actually rotating over to B because they know now that there's 3 people who started over here, and so it's quite likely that, you know, that's probably the most likely outcome. But obviously, as we can see, that is not what is going to happen instead. So whilst this is happening, and we move this forward, what has happened on the other side of the map is also Nats has reaggressed up to here, and he hasn't earned anything yet. So again, the idea that it's a B split here through Heaven is just becoming more likely with Nats being there. But Fnatic are very aware of this potentially being the case, and I just want you to watch this flash from Boaster because it is absolutely absurdly good. And so what you're going to do, see they got the pings there, that's for the Omen flash, but look at this flash from Boaster, hits Nats right in the face, and they managed to kill him. And then he also got Omen flashed as well. But Redgar is going to do absurdly well here at the top of ramp, because he's going to send out both of his flashes, get a kill, and manage to live. And now, if we take a look at what Fnatic did, they smoked this. Now, I think the idea of this smoke was that, you know, they ideally were going to kill Redgar there and take this Heaven control. I think that is what they initially, that was the plan. Otherwise, there's no real reason to smoke this. You'd rather smoke Heaven instead, and if you are just going to go site, and you can tell by some of their later actions that that was the plan, but they decide that eventually, you know, that can't really go anymore because Redgar's in there. And also, Defo, as we saw, and this was just another reason to go for the Neon here, is the Neon can rotate here to there very fast, and that allows, and that's just one of the reasons that Mech picked Neon for this map. But as you can see, Durka has come onto the ramp here with his blast pack, and he was going to aggress, and then Mystic joined him as well, but then they kind of realized, yeah, we can't really do that. So instead they decide to take the site and play a post plan, which is absolutely fine. And Mystic instead has got himself into this position, which is super, super strong because you very rarely see anyone in this position. But with Omen, the return of Omen, you probably will see it a bit more. And then from this position, as I said, Magnum is going to make up for his previous mistakes because he's able to get 2 kills there on the cross, and eventually we are going to end up in this situation where Chronicle dies as well, and Shados is in a 1v4 that he is not going to win. And so again, we saw some nice bit of utility usage there out of Fnatic, and a nice little, again, a little fake thrown at the start of the round. And now let's come to round 33. So we have skipped on quite a bit, but this I think was probably the most impressive round from either side in the whole of, I mean, this is one of the most impressive little ideas that I think I've ever seen from anyone, to be honest, because again, we're looking at exactly the same thing. The Chamber and the Astra are on one of the extremities, and these 3 are in mid, and again, they're going to try and get this fence control. Again, we've got the same smoke up. As I mentioned, this happened a literal million times. And so in they go. This time they go with the Neon running idea instead. There goes Boaster's nade. He threw it perhaps a bit too early that time. And that's going to allow them this time to try and sneak up vents. And so we're about to see that. You can kind of see it on the map that this time, because that nade became a bit early, this time they feel more confident in actually going and exploring this. And so that is what Redgar is going to do. And so he's going to sneak up here, and he's going to walk up, and Boaster, now without that nade, sees them, and he flashes them, and they stay there for a while, but then eventually decide to come back down. And so I just want you now to look at the map, because we need to think about what Redgar is thinking here, because he is going to tell his team, no, let's go back to B. They've seen us in this Heaven area now, he's backed off. You know, they'll think we're going A, let's go B instead. And so as we watch this, you know, we can see that the rest of the team go, okay, let's start going back to B. But then Redgar has another idea, and he realizes, wait a minute, he's going to repeat that. And if he repeats that and sees that we're not there, they're going to think we're going B. And that is exactly what happens, because as you can see, Boaster has gone back into heaven and seen no one's there. They must be going back to B. And so instead, he decides, no, everyone come back to A instead. And look at these players. They've just ran back and back again. And Redgar, it's absolutely genius. And you can see that Boaster has just believed it. He's took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. And poor Magnum here is left on his lonesome on this A site. And I just thought, what an idea. What a crazy man Redgar is. What a genius that man is. And so they're going to explode in onto this site. Poor Magnum, he does the right thing. He gets into a defensive position, but he's going to get flashed and die to Redgar. And then all of a sudden, here we go. But whilst this is going on as well, clever old Nats has decided, what if I just walk up mid instead? And so he's going to come on this big flank behind them. And that is going to really pay off, because as we skip this forward a bit, Nats is now walking through their spawn, and basically the rest of the team was just delaying for Nats to get to that point, and then Fnatic have to push, and they push into an absolute meat grinder. And that idea from Redgar, oh, what a play that was. And so now let's come to round 35, and this one is a one where Fnatic are going to say enough with your mid control, because what they're going to do is they put up this Viper wall, which they did pretty much every round, but this time what they're going to do is send a Sage Slow in on this side, then they are going to KO Flash behind it and get these two peeking behind that as well, because by this point, again, this kind of meta game of it all, they kind of realized that, you know, Mech were taking it slow early on, and it might just be one or two players there. So with the well-timed flash and a slow, although it wasn't perfectly timed there for Durka's peak, but Brave is able to get that kill, they're able to go off. But now Mech decide, okay, 3 are in mid, they've just pushed mid, so let's go fast instead, because that means there'll only be one player on this A site. And unfortunately for Mech, I think what they were hoping for here is that there would be one player on the A site, or maybe in CT, but instead Magnum is playing in heaven, and that's going to really cause them some issues, because Magnum is heaven, they know that heaven is free Fnatic for these very fast rotations, and so that is what's going to go on, because Mech are going to go in on the site, and they're going to take a look, and they're going to take a look for some kills, but unfortunately no one is there. And because they had this heaven control, it allows these rotations to come in super fast towards heaven. And so Mech, feeling like we don't really have enough control here in a 5v4 to win, they're going to decide to try and get aggressive. But as these two get aggressive, they're then going to get KO knifed as well, which really isn't going to help them. As there it goes, you see the KO knife there. So now Fnatic know that there's two towards ramp here, you know, trying to re-aggress in heaven, and because they're all there so fast, because Magnum wasn't on the site and he was in heaven the whole time, that means that they get those kills nice and early. Now Chronicle is able to slip the net here. You can see Mystic is suspicious of it, but he is able to slip the net and get one kill, but unfortunately Brave is able to trade that out. Had he got the second one, he might have had a chance, and then Mystic is able to get the final kill, and Fnatic win the round. Okay, now let's take a look at round number 39, and this one is an absolutely absurd round, and Mech at this point had been doing a lot of fast A hits, and the only way really that Fnatic had been able to stop it is by playing very aggressively. Magnum would often come and sit in his Viper Orb here and play aggressive in it, and that's pretty much the only way they'd been able to stop these fast A hits, and that is exactly what he's going to try to do again. The problem for him this time though is that this stun from Defo is very well done, and he's also going to get suppressed by the KO knife. And if you know, or if you did know, that the changes to this Viper is that when she gets suppressed, this orb will now drop straight away. There is no slight delay like there was before, and that is going to cost Magnum his life, because he gets stunned trying to drop into his orb and it disappears straight away. And so Chronicle's able to get that kill. Now whilst that's going on, Boaster is calling a smoke from Mystic there on the Omen to come in A main, so that he then can try the exact same thing and try and fit in it. And so he tries to do it whilst the smoke just gets there, but it's just a bit too slow, and Redgar is able to punish him, and then he's able to punish Durka as well. And so we end up in a 2v5, and as I said, Brave and Mystic in a 2v5, no chance of winning it whatsoever, but Brave manages to find the first. And then Mystic, we have to come back and watch this. Mystic, obviously whilst all this chaos is going on and everyone's coming to each other and things like that, he's able to teleport from there to there. So he's able to go from here to there. And the thing is, Defo is the one that's watching this, okay? And Defo never sees him. And I'm guessing because, you know, they were planting the spike and all these sound cues are going off at the same time and someone had just died and they're communicating all of that, they never hear Mystic get into that spot and use the Omen TP. And so he's able to get one and then the second as well, and we end up in a 2v2. And then Mythic is able to go even more berserk as Brave sees where Nats is there. He's able to find Defo as well, and then he teleports. He's able to use his ult because he got 3 kills, and he decides to use his ult back here. Very smart idea. Group up with your teammate, play in a 2v1. There's no need to be separated in this spot if you don't need to be, because Nats has no idea where that teleport is, right? He didn't hear it, so it could be anywhere on site. It could be a fake. It could really be anything, and so Nats has no idea where exactly these players could be, because honestly, they could be anywhere, and he's just got slowed as well. So you can see him checking around, but it is Nats. And Nats is able to get into a position that I don't think Fnatic expected. I think they probably thought he was still either in the smoke or behind the smoke. But actually, he's in front of it. And so, Mystic is peeking there on his own. Although it's not really on his own. It's just that from this angle, it's on its own. Because they didn't expect Nats to be here. And Nats then uses a suck over here. And he has the right idea. Because Brave is there. But he doesn't see him. And so, he doesn't think it is. And he ends up looking up at the wrong time. And Brave is able to win the round. And now let's come to the final round of the game. And to be honest, this one is quite different to all the other rounds because neither side had a lot of success going B, but this time Fnatic are able to manage to get the win from the back of this round. And the difference here for me is in KO, because this time they often sent the Raze plus the Sage here in mid, but this time Boaster on the KO is going to send himself there as well. And the difference is often he would be knifing in here, in mailroom, or in here, like towards the back of this. And it would hit a circle, something like that. And it would mean that no one was, you know, super close on you mid. But it didn't often disable the Neon plus Breach. Because here's the thing. This combo of Neon plus Breach here in Heaven on this B side is absolutely oppressive. It is simply oppressive because you get the Neon doing these jump peaks here. And as soon as the Neon sees someone, the Breach is going to stun from a safe position there. And then, once stunned, your only position really is to walk back into mailroom. That's when the Neon stuns you again in here, slides in, and kills you. It's absolutely oppressive, and it's why teams have been taking this mech comp. Because it simply cannot be defeated, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of Heaven defense. It is absolutely absurdly good. And the ideas that mech have are just insanely good as well. So what Boaster decides is he needs a different plan. He's going to knife this instead. He knows that these two are playing super passively off and are just waiting for the Neon to jump spot someone there so that then they can stun them. So he knows that they won't be able to break that knife. And that knife will suppress them or push them off. And as soon as they get a foothold in Heaven, that is when they're in trouble. Because then Fnatic can put up their Sage Wall here and then just isolate one player. That is what they want to do. And it's exactly what they managed to do this time. And just the change of where that knife was is really the difference here. And you can watch it. This Neon is going to be forced off for the first time. She's jump peeking, she's jump peeking, she's jump peeking, but then the knife is going to come in. The flash is going to come in from the Omen as well, as you're about to see. There goes that knife, and the Neon all of a sudden runs away. This is the first time that the Neon had ever run away. Now, the Breach is able to get the stun, but because the Neon has had to run away, they're able to get that wall up. And the Neon is afraid of, you know, someone pushing further in. Now, Shados is able to get a kill, but because he's suppressed, it gets so much harder to defend this area. And Durka is able to chase him down and get that kill. Now, there is a problem for Nats, because taking this B site is so much easier if you have Heaven control. Because if you have Heaven control, anyone playing on like this back site area here is screwed. Because now, you know, you're coming at them from here, you're coming at them from here. They have nowhere to go. And so Nat only on this Astra here only has one option, and that is to try and re-aggress down here. But whilst that is going on, Magnum has put up his wall here and his orb and has managed to sneak in on this right hand side. This chamber trap has gone off, but he's managed to sneak on that right hand side of it before Nats has been able to see him, and he's just crossed past his wall. And that's going to cost Nats as well, because you can see he's looking down here. He was looking down here, but then he sees that there's someone actually here instead, and obviously Magnum is able to get that kill because he's expecting Nats to be there, and Nats isn't expecting him to be there. So now there is a lot of trouble for the side of Mech, and this is the thing. The first time that they got that KO knife into deep Heaven was the first time they were able to take it. We get a lovely nade there from Turka across the other way, And Durka has decided here, you can kind of see him running across here. He's going to go for the big flank. I'll show you on the map. He's going to, you know, try and come all the way around the back of them here instead. And he is going to win them the round. And anytime you have a big flank like that, basically the idea is they're the one that's going to win you the round. Everyone else just has to stall. And so that is what they do. As soon as this Neon Wall comes in, Boaster sends in his knife. He says you're not using any more utility. He flashes, but he doesn't want to peek with the flash because he knows that Durka's going to win them the round. They're trying to just suck them in, but slowly. And eventually what's going to happen is, unfortunately for Chronicle, his gun is just going to poke out there. Mystic's able to get one. Durka's able to get one from Heaven. He just got that first kill. And also Durka is able to get this kill as well and win the game for Fnatic. But it just goes to show the margins. To me, one small thing won this round. And it was just getting a KO knife in here to suppress those two agents. And as soon as they did that, it took them 44 rounds to figure it out, to be fair. But as soon as they figured it out, they managed to win by going to Heaven and this beast site.